Hey, welcome back to my podcast. My name is Logan, and I'm super excited to be back with you guys. It's been a really beautiful week, just connecting with you all in different capacities, specifically on Instagram the most. People sending me their 2021 goals and responding just like ultimately really well to my story. So if you haven't listened to episode 1 and you want just like a deeper dive into who I am, hit it up. I would love for you to check it out and let me know your thoughts. Okay. So I want to just go ahead and dive into today's topic because it's something that is really interesting to me. And this is going to be just kind of like a discussion more than anything. Like, I am by no means an expert on this topic, but I do really enjoy having the conversation surrounding this topic as somebody who works online versus somebody who doesn't and maybe wants to, or even if you don't. And that topic is consumption culture, like social media consumption culture, this idea that we have to constantly be inputting, and we're losing focus on the outputs that are outlets. And so what I mean by this is, as a person who works from home, when I'm done with my work day, and for those of you who don't know, I own my online business. I run my own online business. So I even create my own schedule, but that doesn't mean that my work isn't, taxing. Like, obviously there's still going to be a moment in the day where I'm like, okay, I want to relax and do something. And social media and screens, especially like things like Netflix, they're just not an unwind for me. Whereas my partner will come home from her job. She has a very active job, and she'll come home and she'll be like, oh, I just want to like watch a movie or something and like unplug. And I think that is such a funny phenomenon. The phrase like unplug, unwind, I just want to unplug, and that means like watching 2 hours of trash TV. And not that that's a bad thing. Like, sometimes we do need that moment of just fully like disconnecting from our brain. Like, I 100% understand that. But I think that it's so interesting because for me, that's not unwinding. That's not unplugging. That's plugging in and letting it like wash over you. And that's really uncomfortable for me, personally. Like, being aware of my personal time sucks. So my biggest just like social media vortex that I fall into is TikTok. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's their algorithm. I don't know if it's the fact that they've probably stolen all my data and are listening to this right now and know freaking everything about me and know exactly what to put in front of my face for me to just like sit on there. But holy, like, I can lose hours on TikTok if I open it. And so it's been such an interesting thing because when I come out of that vortex, like my phone dies, or I'm just like, wait, what am I doing? Or I get a notification and I'm like, oh my God, it's been that long. Like, I feel super unfulfilled in that moment most of the time if I haven't brought it into the conscious reality. So what I mean by that is being super aware of the fact that that's a time suck for me, and putting on a timer before I open the app, or just watching 3 TikToks and just knowing in my head, this is a time suck for me. You have to turn it off. Like, that has really changed my relationship to it. But when those vortexes do happen, like Reels, they've started happening for me more on Reels because I'm on Instagram more for my job. And so it's interesting to have like a TikTok like function on Instagram, which used to be so productive for me. And now it's like, oh shit, like I just fell down this rabbit hole again. I hate it. And so just being aware of those time sucks and like updating that database in your head, because social media is always going to be advancing. There's always going to be more stuff. And if you want to be a conscious consumer, so actually let me know. If you don't follow me on Instagram already, my handle is Logan Mackenzie with a 0. So L0 GANMACKENZIE on Instagram. I'd love for you to send me a DM and just tell me how you feel about this. Like, how is consumer culture prevalent in your life? Do you work online or not as well? Can you let me know? Because I would love to know the difference from somebody who like does work online and versus someone who doesn't. And I would think that, you know, if I wasn't currently in this space, I would think that working online would make the consumption worse. But from my personal experience, I haven't actually felt that at all, because I feel that my consumption is more intentional. Like I have a purpose for if I ever am just scrolling on Instagram, which is rare anyway, but I have a purpose for that. Like I'm engaging with other humans, and I have a service that can help them. So I think that my social media consumption is actually an output. And so, yeah, I want to kind of touch on my personal opinion on creative outlets and like how those should be, or at least for me in my life and what I'm attempting to get closer to, is those types of things becoming my creative space, like my wind down space, my, okay, I need some time for myself space. I want these types of things to replace the just like Netflix binge, you know what I mean? Creative outlets. And for me, I believe that audio content like this podcast and also like audiobooks and things like that, that is a creative outlet for me, because it's consumption, but it's mentally stimulating consumption. And there's not like an all-encompassing visual as well. Like it stimulates the imagination. So I'd love to know kind of how you feel about that too. Like, do you think that audio content is in a different sphere than like video content or social media content? Or do you think it's like all the same? Because I feel like there's a stark difference, at least in like my mood and how I feel when I'm listening to a podcast that's really stimulating or a book that's really, really interesting versus something that like I've watched 17 episodes of Schitt's Creek by accident, like things like that. I feel like they're so on a different level. And like, for example, when I'm listening to a podcast or an audiobook, like I can do other things. I can like work on a creative project or like bake or make dinner or food prep, or I just said like 3 things that meant the same thing about food. But in any case, like I can do something. Or I can just lay down and fully relax and like rest my eyes and yeah, I just feel like they're so different. But I mean, obviously you like audio content because you're here. So I would love to know if you feel like it's the same thing. Like, do you feel like you fall into that same vortex? Or do you feel like, yes, like I totally am completely like aligned with audio content, and I think that it's like the way of the future? Because that's me. Like I really think that moving forward, people are going to get tired of the consumption and the blue light headaches, and they're just going to be like, okay, I need a second to unwind, but I still want to like mentally stimulate myself. Like obviously there's space to not do that. Like meditation is incredible for that, but you can't always do that. Like maybe you want to listen to something that's more engaging when you're like doing food prep, for example. That's when I always have like a podcast on, and I'll throw on like the super freaking long ones, like the ones that are like 2 hours, and I'll just go downstairs and like really vibe with it. And I know that a lot of people do this with music, but I tend to prefer like a more engaging type thing. Like even with music, like I want to listen to music that I can sing to, because I do a lot of vocals. So it's very, I don't know, I feel like I have a different perspective, but maybe I'm completely wrong and you have the same perspective. So I'd love to know. Well, yeah, I just wanted to bring kind of like awareness to how I deal with consumption culture in that space. And that has been to create 10 times more than I consume. And that's not like a hard and fast rule. So if I'm like, find myself scrolling on Instagram and I'm like, it's been 5 minutes of scrolling, that means I have to do 50 minutes of content creation. Like it's not super hard and fast like that, but it does having that as like a mantra or like a motto in the back of my head, that this is just something that I do. This is the type of person that I am. I create more than I consume. It helps to catch me in those moments of consumption that maybe I'm not super pleased with, and bring me back into a space of, okay, like I'm here with an intention. I'm here with a purpose. I'm using this platform because I want to help people. And at the end of the day, that's changed literally everything for me. And being able to say, like, I speak to a lot of people who say, yeah, I want to monetize my online presence in the future. And I want to like become an influencer, quote unquote. And I thought that I was going to do the same thing in my life. Like, I really thought that that was something that I was working towards. I had a YouTube channel for like a really, really long time. I had an Instagram that I was attempting to grow a presence of. I had an ebook that I was pushing for a while. Pushing, I say. But yeah, I mean, I did the whole thing where I was like, I want to be an influencer. But at the end of the day, I found that like that type of consumption all the time and that like level of people pleasing that I would have to do, like I would have to create content. So this is from my personal experience, like in trying to tap into the influencer space, but also from like my conversations with lots of my friends and connections that I have in the business world now that used to be influencers or maybe still kind of are. It's such a, what does my audience want to see that I want to create? It's like, it's very based off of growth and numbers and like how many people can I get to watch something that I create, not something intentional that's like, I want to connect with this person and I want to help this person. It's more of this like lowest common denominator. How do I get the most people possible to click on this? How do I get the most eyes possible to click on this? Because that's how you monetize, because you're paid for views. And that, when I really realized that being an influencer was so different than like just inspiring a certain amount of people, it was trying to monetize human connection on a grand scale, like on a how many people can I entice with this? I just stopped vibing with it. I was like, ooh, I really don't think that that is the path for me, because I want something more intentional. I want to be able to actually help people. And that's when I fell into online business and having a specific ICA that I speak to, not even just like a niche of, oh, I speak to women in their 20s. Like I have a specific ICA that I create content for because that's the person that I can help with my offer. And so at the end of the day, it's like so crazy how that has shifted my consumption, because I'm consuming with intention. I'm consuming to figure out more about this person so I can help them better, versus just falling into a vortex or only creating because I want as many eyes as possible to be on my stuff. Like I have realized through, monetizing my platform with my Kangen water business that I don't need any amount of followers. I was going to say a number, but I literally don't need any amount of followers. My business partner has like 100 something because she deleted her account and remade it, and she's still making 5-figure months and being incredibly successful. And so when I realized that, I was like, what is the goal of pushing towards having these large numbers if you're not even going to be able to connect with these people? Like, what is the point of having 10,000 followers that you don't know the names of? And so that's why I really, really mean it when I say, like, please send me a DM. Like, I want to engage with you guys because I want my following to be small and intentional. I want to know who you are. I want to know what you struggle with, and I want to know how I can improve that, or if I can improve that, or if we are just going to vibe. Like, I want to know who you are. And I feel like that has changed the entire social media game for me, because I'm not trying to get more likes or more views or more followers. I'm trying to connect. And so at the end of the day, like my social media usage is so intentional that it doesn't feel hard or heavy anymore. I won't say that I'm perfect with that. So there are still some days where it'll be like 5 p.m. and I'm like, oh, I don't really like how I did that today. But it's not like my constant way of being, if that makes sense. I've shifted that culture for me and that way of using social media that is so draining and so hard. And it's become this creative outlet, this source of inspiration. And also it's the way I make money. So it's become like this really joyful and beautiful thing, because not only do I get to connect with people, usually in the DMs, and offer them a solution to lots of problems that they're experiencing, because that's what I provide. If you're wondering, I'll give you like a tiny baby explanation. I'm not going to pitch you guys, but I run a coaching program for Kangen water distributors to create their own offer with Kangen. Instead of like aligning themselves with like a really large platform that they don't vibe with, we teach them how to become leaders and create a platform or a training or a coaching program for their future team that is like aligned specifically with that team. So that's what I do. And I'm able to help people monetize their platforms like very, very quickly through something like that, because it's high ticket. And so that's what I'm talking about when I say like connecting with people with intention. And I'm able to hop into people's DMs and actually provide them with a solution. And so social media has become this like really beautiful creative thing for me. And yeah, I feel like that's kind of how I broke up with consumption culture. And I was able to say, okay, like my consumption time is intentional because it's for my business. And then outside of that, what are my outlets? And I feel like most like normal, at least American adults, their consumption time is not their work. And it's not intentional. And like, that doesn't feel very good for most people. And so I just want to emphasize the importance of creative outlets. But yeah, I feel like I went on like a huge tangent there. I hope you guys were riding with me through that. Let me know if that was like, oh, just so you guys know, I don't even edit this shit. Like I just put it up. And so yeah, it's very much like live podcasting, and I hope you vibe with that. I like the real. Also, it's just easier to do it this way because I don't have to like edit things, and it can just be like you really authentically listening to my stream of consciousness. Normally I have like some bullet points that I'm looking at, but my laptop died, so I don't even have that for like a guide. So this is literally just like a free flow chat. And I'd love to know how you feel about this type of content. Like, do you like it? I really just want this to be like a space for interaction. I'd love to do some interviews as well of my team members and potentially other people, just to like chat with. Like, I know I'm going to have my partner on. You guys have requested so much to have her here. And so we definitely will do that. She's not even on Instagram or like social at all. Like, she has a Facebook where she's friends with like people from real life, and that's like the majority of what she does. So, she's probably going to be really uncomfortable with it, but I'm going to try and get her on here for you guys, because that's something that you have been asking me for. And yeah, I feel like I'm going to cut this one short around this time. I think this is a good spot to be like, okay, I'm done talking about consumption, and to open a conversation about it. Because I really, really do want to know like where you guys are at. Maybe we can do some sort of like advice section or something about like consumption culture and social media work and all of that kind of fun stuff. Let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in, and I will see you guys next week. Actually, I think I'm going to be uploading once per week, because I've gotten so many incredible requests from you guys about like what to speak about on this podcast. And so I think that I have so much content and so much to share about. And so I think once a week is good. I don't know what day, so I can't tell you what day. I'll have to figure it out. Maybe I'll tell you when I upload next episode. But I'm really excited about this space, and I hope that you guys are really excited about this space, and that it feels like you're authentically actually connecting with me and getting to know me as like a person in your life. That's what I would really, really hope for from this space, because I'm just actually speaking to you. And so, yeah. Wow. If you'd ever want to connect with me or send me any podcast recommendations, so I already shared with you my Instagram, but I'll share it again. Instagram is Logan McKenzie, but the O is a 0. So L0 GANMACKENZIE. I'd love to hear from you. If you prefer like long form or email, logan@loganmckenzie.com. That's my email. Dude. I love this so much. I'm really, really full of joy to like be speaking to you guys in this way. Like it just feels so aligned and natural for me. And I'm excited to continue to open this space to you guys. I don't know what I'll be speaking about next week. I've gotten a lot of requests for a self-love and self-care chat, anxiety, mental health, obviously Sarah being featured at some point and talking about toxic relationships and healthy relationships and coming out and just being a part of the LGBT community and like how our stories were incredibly different and all of that fun stuff. So I definitely do want to do all of those things. If any of those sound like particularly exciting to you, definitely let me know. I've also had a request to talk about 2021 goals before the end of this month, so I probably will do that as well. But if anything sounds like really, really exciting to you, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to create it for you. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day or night, wherever you are in the world, whenever you're listening to this. And I will see you next week. Bye, guys.